Mr. Bianalillo is excused. Bogo?
Present.
Jaworski?
Here.
Kosky? Here. Mr. LeBron is excused. Sakis?
Here.
And Ms. Salato is excused.
Okay. Due to the absence of the council president tonight, council's going to have to appoint council president pro tem in his place. So someone should make a motion to appoint a pro tem president tonight.
Based on past council tradition and on the committee of the whole depth chart, I nominate Councilwoman Kosky to be council pro tem for tonight's meeting.
I second it.
Call the roll with the opposed nomination. I just wasn't sure. if you
Yeah, I'm
opposed
sorry, if you
nomination.
please call the roll.
All right. Bianalillo is, sorry, Bogo?
Yes.
Jaworski?
Yes.
Kosky?
Yes.
Sakis?
Yes.
It's your meeting, Sherry.
Okay, approval of council minutes of March 12th, 2018.
I make a motion that we accept minutes.
I second.
Okay. A motion has been made by Councilman Bogo, seconded by Councilman Sakis, that we approve the council minutes of March 12th, 2018. Roll call.
Bogo?
Yes.
Jaworski?
Yes.
Kosky?
Yes.
Sakis?
Yes.
Reports and communications from the Mayor, Safety Director.
Hey, good evening, everybody. So, a couple items. Councilman Sakis, myself, and the Finance Director are meeting April 4th next week to discuss the details of the Mayor's Court, so we can come back to council with the hard numbers. For board docs, I know we're going to look into the bandwidth operation. Actually, it worked out well because the Wi-Fi was down just before the meeting, so Lieutenant Thompson came up to work on that. So we talked. He said it'd be fine having additional 12 to 15 devices on the current network, so we wouldn't need to make any adjustments on that front. Per an email to council I sent on 3/7, I'm suggesting we join the County Economic Development Plan. This will get us started with the day-to-day activity while we decide which direction to go in terms of the strategic planning. Personally, which I'd like to do in conjunction with the schools once they decide on what they're doing with the reconfiguration, which is going to take just a little more time. So I'll work with Law Director Zealy to have this on next meeting's agenda. I know the county just put out, they're starting to look for this person, and again, the mayors will be part of the application interview process. The TPI efficiency program is still, we were going to be looking at that tonight, but after some other conversations on Friday, we're looking into the contracts. I had just seen one of the contracts. There's a separate contract for our telephone, or the street lights compared to all the city buildings. So we had a conference call, service director and I this morning, and the gentleman from NextEra and NOPEC, and I talked to folks from TPI efficiency. So no matter what, it looks like we can, if we can't get on the TPI efficiency program to get a lower kilowatt per hour, we can readjust our current contract just a little bit. So it looks like either way we're going to save just a little bit of money in the short term, but better understand where we're at going forward. I think I mentioned last meeting a CRA, community reinvestment area. So there's a heritage home program some folks from the county are looking at, along with Auburn's Better Flip program, essentially just taking all the bungalows we have, making it easier for folks to upgrade or put on additions. And the residents are always asking for tax abatements like the businesses get. So this would be a similar project, whether you're just updating your windows or putting on an addition. All these programs would help you with the consultation, help you with the financing. They're working with Lake Erie Bank to get low fixed interest rates, around 2.5%. And again, we looked at the numbers. Out of our 5,500 homes, about 4,500 are these bungalows that are 1,000, 1,100 square feet, 50 years or older, which would qualify for these programs. Thankfully, Wickliffe, they are in the midst of a CRA for their entire community. So I'm working with the folks with CT Consultants, who they also use. So it should be a fairly seamless process. Really just a matter of deciding how long to abate the taxes and at what percentage. Went to the Lake County Mayors and Managers meeting this afternoon, and we talked about Heritage Home Program, a couple other things. The Lake County Crime Lab was there, and they're going to be putting on a levy this year. So again, they went over quite a bit, and Chief, can you speak to that for a moment? You deal with them a lot more than any of us do.
There's only, I think, 6 or 8 crime labs in the whole state of Ohio. And we're fortunate to have one here in Lake County. If you didn't have the crime lab, stuff like DNA evidence would take a long time to get. So it's a huge asset for us. We get a quick turnaround for it. The Lake County Chiefs Association actually donated $5,000 for the campaign. I believe this is the first time they asked for additional money in like many, many years. I don't know the exact timeline. But the amount of work that we're getting now, or they're getting now, I should say, especially with DNA and the opioid crisis that's across this whole country, that's affecting us in Lake County. It takes a lot of time and a lot of money for them to process these chemicals. So I support, the Chiefs Association supports it, and I actually encourage everybody in Lake County. I don't know the exact millage, but the amount of money that they're asking for is minimal compared to any of the other services that are provided.
Mm-hmm. So, they mentioned about $14 per $100,000 home valuation. And like the DNA, for example, so that'd be robbery. Someone breaks into your home, leaves DNA, fingerprints, hair, whatever. The lady there said today, just simply those would not get worked. So again, that's the kind of thing you have to think about as well.
That's a huge problem.
Yeah.
Because most of the crimes that we solve now are solved with DNA, not with fingerprints. DNA is so much more sensitive, and there's something called touch DNA. If I just touch my finger right there, they can take a swab of that and get my DNA off of it. So we go someplace, like bank robbery or something, we swab, or like something they get away in a car, we'll swab the door handles, the steering wheel, like every place where the person was at. You don't need fingerprints, because all you need is a little sample of DNA. So, and I forget the exact cost, but I think each DNA sample costs like $500 for the processing. So
They said each kit was, I want to say either $15,000 or $30,000, and there was 7 or 8, 9 kits they have to buy. That goes quite a bit though. But.
So anyhow, they're in desperate need of it. If they don't get this funding, a large portion of the services they provide to law enforcement in the county will simply vanish.
Got it, thanks, sir. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mayor.
Sure.
Go ahead.
One thing, Mayor, you had mentioned the county economic development. That is still in committee, and we're going to be meeting on April 16th.
Correct. That is for, as I stated in the email, we're meeting with firms to do more of a strategic planning.
We as council would have to have it removed from committee first. The next time the committee's meeting is April 16th for that scheduled meeting. So we would not be able to vote on it until...
Well, again, I've been saying the entire time, there's sort of two components to this. There's the day-to-day talking to business retention, the growth of the current businesses we have, which the folks we're meeting with on the 16th, that's for the bigger strategic planning, marketing of the city. So we were going to move forward with the county's plan, which is more, because that's, one day a week, 1.5 days a week. That's not going to solve the bigger problems we have. That's to get us started while we're working on the strategic planning, which could take 18 months to really come to the end of that.
I'm just saying I think it's still in committee, so I don't think council can vote on that until it is reported out of committee.
The topic is in committee.
No, I understand.
It would have to be reported out of committee prior.
Correct, and that's the intent on the April 16th meeting.
On that.
Okay, well,
I believe we had, if I remember, Commissioner Serino, he said by the end of April to give notice.
correct. They're looking to start the beginning of May, middle of May.
So we
maybe
would know by the 16th then.
So then that meeting, could we? I don't know how specific we have to be, since again.
That will be part of that meeting.
No, it will be. We might not make our final decision on that. So could we split it into 2 different processes? If we still have to keep one part of it, one part of it's going to have to stay in committee for a bit longer, right?
Mr. Mayor, what I'm getting at, we're going to talk about that during that committee meeting, so it should be reported out on the 16th is what I'm saying.
Okay, got it.
We just can't do anything until it's reported out of committee for
Okay, so it can't be on the next
procedure.
Okay, got it.
Okay, anyone else have anything for the mayor? Okay, reports and communications from Director of Law.
Thank you, Council President. The only thing I want to draw Council's attention to is the ordinance tonight. It's ordinance 2018-14. It's the solicitors and canvassers ordinance. That was at the request of the mayor, this ordinance. It's part of the NOPEC Do Not Knock registry. We already had solicitor and canvasser prohibitions in place, penalties for that. All this did, it didn't change the ordinance. All it did was add to the ordinance certain language, giving people another option to prohibit unwanted solicitors or canvassers from coming on their property. You can register with NOPEC on their Do Not Knock registry. They're supposed to provide the city with stickers that you can put on your window, and it's another means that there'll be a registry kept of people that have called for this. So all we're doing is adding more ways for people to prohibit solicitors and canvassers on their property and putting them on notice. It didn't delete or change any of our current ordinance, so just wanted to make council aware of that. That's all I have, thank you.
Okay. Anyone have anything for the law director? Okay. Communications from council president, I do not have anything from Mr. Levon. Additions or amendments to the agenda? Okay. And now we will go to the administrators, Police Chief Ice.
Thank you, Council President. Just a couple of things to add in my monthly report. I had mentioned before that we were looking for dispatchers. We hired 2. The first one started today. Her name is Natalie Lucero. Next Monday, the second one, Kaylee Gordon, will start working for us. Both of these girls have bachelor's degrees, and actually one of them, Natalie, has a master's degree, both in criminal justice, so I'm very happy to have them aboard. In addition to the routine stuff that we do from week to week, OVIs and thefts and traffic tickets and whatnot, something you may find of interest, on Saturday we had a complaint of somebody complaining that somebody stole his iPhone and laptop down on Weber. We got down there, this person was high on some kind of narcotic. We think it was MDMA. So we finally got him calmed down. He was running around his house. Got inside of his house, and inside of his house we found an AK-47 with a number of loaded magazines and a shotgun. Both these rifles or firearms had the serial numbers filed off, which is illegal. And then he also had military gas masks in there, and then he was building some homemade silencers. He had a little workshop down there. So this is something we're very concerned about. We actually contacted AT&F for the silencers because it's illegal to possess, so it's a federal violation. They decided to let us take care of it. And we confiscated a safe out of the house. We got a warrant today. We're going to have to drill it to get into it to see what else is inside there. Hopefully we're going to get this guy to actually be a confidential informant for us, just so we can keep, actually just in contact with him so they can kind of keep an eye on this guy. We're very concerned about him. That will conclude my report this evening.
Thank you very much. Does anyone have any questions for the police chief? Matt?
Just one. Chief, you mentioned you hired 2 dispatchers, so are we at full staff with dispatch, or are we down 1 person?
No, we're at full staff.
Okay, thank you.
Fire Chief Powers?
Thank you, Council President. I have nothing to add to my previously submitted report.
Does anyone have a question for the fire chief? Finance Director Dole?
Just wanted to again remind everybody that Thursday is the Taxpayers Assistance Program at the Community Center from noon to 7. There'll be auditors coming in there to help with the billing out of the municipal tax forms. And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for the Finance Director? Engineer Famika?
Thank you, Council President. One thing to add to my written report. Last week, Building Commissioner Sack and I attended a mandatory meeting over at Lake County for the CDBG Community Development Block Grant funding applications that'll be coming due pretty soon. So now that we've attended that meeting, that we'll be able to present applications for that. Also, part of that application would be a resolution that we'll need from council, or a couple of resolutions for each project and ask for assistance for. So that'll be forthcoming.
Okay, anyone have any questions for the engineer? Thank you, Pete.
Thank you.
Service Director?
Thank you, Council President. Just a couple of things. We did bring our third shift back on days. We still have second shift. We're going to bring them back at the end of the month. They're concentrating on a lot of cold patching, repairing the roads, painting some of the buildings. We started prepping some of our baseball fields. As you saw, I believe it was the high school. They're playing on Colby 1. It was a little bit frozen this morning, but we were able to chew through it and get it playable for them today. The work on Warden Road, the joint repair program from 2017 is still scheduled to start soon. I believe CT Consultants is going to go out there this week, weather permitting, and start marking the areas that they're going to do the joint repair and slab replacement. And other than that, we're continuing road work, pouring some concrete, doing some catch basins, sweeping the streets, and basically our routine stuff this time of year. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Any questions for the service director? No. Building Commissioner Sack?
Thank you, Council President. I just have a few things I wanted to mention. I came out a couple new businesses in Wickliffe. Healthy Salads, it's a health food restaurant that's going to open up in an old Tizano's restaurant. And also Leisure Time Warehouse on Lakeland Boulevard is going to take the old Napa store, and we expect to see them in there in the next 30 days. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Anyone have any questions for the Building Commissioner? Okay. Recreation Director Stopp.
Thank you, Madam Council President. I'd like to just add a couple things to my previously reported report. I'd like to thank everyone who came to our Easter egg hunt this past Saturday. We probably had the best turnout we've ever had. We had 200 plus participants. Beautiful weather, so really turned out really well. And thanks for everyone who participated and supported that. I wanted to also publicly thank our neighbors down the street at Richmond Heights Dental Arts. They gave us a really nice donation to cover the majority of the expenses for that. And also Texas Roadhouse gave us Easter eggs that had a free kids meal with an adult purchased meal. So we were able to pass out about 100 of those. I would also like to report that Parks and Recreation Commission Chair Jim Corrigan and myself met with the Eagles this past week. We talked to them about some of the needs of the city for some of the events that are coming up, specifically our 5K and our movie night sponsorships. And they generously will be donating $1,500 to the 5K and $1,500 for a movie night. That will cover one of the 2 movie nights that we will be having this summer, so I'll continue to look for sponsors for the second movie.
Wow, fantastic.
That concludes my report.
Thank you. Any questions for the Recreation Director? No? All right, now we will go to audience participation. If you have a question, you may stand, state your name and your address. Does anyone have any questions for City Council? Yes.
Hello, Patricia Fowler, 30380 Bridle Path Trail in Wickliffe. I noticed that there's not a few council people here today, and you will be voting on the budget later this week. I do believe a couple of people will be absent for that, and not sure what Mr. Lon's participation will be on those following meetings later this week. I wondered if council had considered at all an electronic participation for council members who might be out of town on business or vacation to participate in council meetings, especially when an important vote like specific ordinance may be coming up, and would consider that in the future. Thank you.
Okay, Law Director.
Yeah, Patty, under the House Sunshine Laws, we have looked into this. Municipal council meetings, a council member must be physically present under Ohio law. That can't be altered.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have any questions? Yes.
Not so much a question, just a brief introduction. Bill Snow, 29257 Anderson Road. I'm a business owner here, and I just wanted to introduce myself on behalf of the Willoughby Western Lake County Chamber of Commerce, of which I'm a board member. One of the things we're charged with is to promote and support businesses in Western Lake County, specifically Wickliffe. It's a big topic you all are talking about, so if there's anything we can do from the chamber in terms of sitting down with businesses, helping them get more acclimated to the community, helping them with any business development they need to do. Mr. Zach, as you're meeting with them too, feel free to reach out to me. I'll be happy to get the chamber involved. But anything that we can do from the chamber's perspective to help the community with business development and economic development, that's what we're here for.
Good, thank you, that's good to know. Thank you very much. Does anyone else have any question or comment from the audience for the city council? Okay, marking none, we will close audience participation. Committee reports? Does anyone have any committee reports?
There were two that
Well,
need to be read.
I guess I'm the lucky one.
Chair,
Okay, thank you.
I'm ready for you.
Okay. Committee of the Whole meeting minutes of March 19th, 2018, meeting called to order at 7 p.m. Purpose, Lake County Building Department presentation to council, board docs, and Cabin Clark Drive culvert pipe. Present, Biondolillo, Bogo, Jaworski, Koski, Levon, and Sakis. Excused, Salato. Also present, Barbish, Zeely, Ice, Formica, D'Ambrosio, Strouser, Dole, Sack, Stop, and Powers. The Lake County Chief Building Official Dave Stryko and Assistant Prosecuting Attorney Michael DeLeon explained the services the county could provide if we decided to pursue a joint venture with them. The county, which already does electrical inspections in both residential and commercial buildings in the city, could handle all of the inspections that are covered by the state of Ohio building standards. This would allow the city to focus on property maintenance issues. The county wouldn't be responsible for enforcing local ordinances, just state building codes. This would result in a $31,000 loss of income to the city, or $13,000 if we kept plumbing as a city inspection, since Building Commissioner Sack is a certified plumbing inspector. By joining with the county, it may potentially allow us to reduce staff as time goes on without interrupting services to our community and potentially save the city money in the long term. Both Willowick and Willoughby Hills have taken this step already. The county would work with our law director to allow the city to enter or exit the contract seamlessly without any penalties. At this time, the mayor did not have a plan for the future of the building department. This item will remain in committee until the administration has a plan for staffing of the building department if we are to proceed with this joint venture. Mayor Barbish proposed that council and administration start using board docs as a way to save money from using paper. Board Docs is a cloud-based management system that allows for publishing and revising of agenda items, supporting documents, minutes, and policies via the internet. It has a couple of different options based on the features we need, ranging from $7,000 to $12,000. The council clerk would need to test the feasibility of it, since she would be the main administrator for this system. We may also not have enough bandwidth in the council chambers to pursue this as well. The school board already uses this system, so we will consult with them about how they use it and the cost savings they have accrued. This item will remain in committee until we have more information from the school board and council clerk. Law Director Zeely explained to the committee that a house on Cabin was sold with a culvert pipe under the driveway, which is having issues. The culvert collects water from the neighborhood and dumps it in the Colby Pond. This has been an ongoing problem for the past 4 years. Building Commissioner Sack received a bid for the job of $6,000 to replace the culvert. Since the culvert is on private property, the matter of an easement was discussed. The committee agreed that it didn't want a permanent easement, as we don't want the responsibility of maintaining the culvert going forward. In the best interest of the neighborhood basements not flooding, the committee recommends the law director discuss with the seller's attorney to proceed with the project with no easement. The item is reported out of committee. Let's see. Finance Committee meeting minutes, March 19th, 2018. Called order 8:20, purpose, Mayor's Court, and 2018 budget. Present, Biondolillo, Bogo, Jaworski, Koski, Levon, and Sakis. Excuse, Solano. Also present, Barbish, Zeely, Ice, Formica, D'Ambrosio, Strouser, Dole, Sack, Stop, and Powers. Councilman Sakis presented his idea of bringing a mayor's court to Wickliffe. He explained some of the expenses we would have, such as a computer software program, a magistrate, a bailiff, and a check-in officer. He suggested court could be held once or twice a month in council chambers from 8 a.m. until noon. Using the amount of traffic tickets or minor misdemeanor offenses our police force currently uses, he estimates we could make $200,000 to $300,000 per year from collecting fines. Mayor Barbish recommends we pursue this. Finance Director Telz does not recommend we utilize City Hall, as she stated that people left the Willoughby Hills Court a mess. It was suggested that we may utilize the old service garage or the Provo House. The numbers that Councilman Sakis had were only estimates. The committee is interested in pursuing this option and asked Sakis to confirm the exact numbers and present it at a later date. The item will remain in committee. The committee asked Finance Director Telz if retirement buyouts could be an option. She replied it would be cost prohibitive. The mayor stated the building administrative assistant will retire and we will eliminate the position and recreate it as a part-time position. Since it was indicated that the city would have to pay for unemployment benefits if we move positions from full-time to part-time, the majority of council believes we should pass the budget as presented. Councilman Jaworski objected, stating the current revenue amount is the amount we will have to work with going forward, and we have to make cuts to keep from depleting from our general fund carryover. Councilman Levon agreed with Mr. Jaworski, but has decided to give the mayor 1 year to analyze his administration and recommend what positions can be reduced or removed. The projected budget deficit for this year is $909,688. The committee recommends to council that the budget be approved. We will have 2 special meetings the week of 3/26 so that the budget ordinance is read 3 times. This item is reported out of committee. The meeting adjourned at 9:17 p.m. Any commission reports? Yes.
Not a report, but
sorry.
that's okay. There will be a planning commission meeting next month in April.
Okay. Any old
May?
bit? Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, in May.
In May, okay. Any old business?
I thought it was April.
I'm sorry, I might be mistaken.
If the last what? April.
Any old business? Any new business? Ordinances.
Ordinance number 2018-09, an ordinance amending Chapter 92105, collection of costs of the codified ordinances of the City of Wickliffe, third reading.
I'll make a motion to adopt.
Second.
Adoption, Mr. Jaworski, seconded by Mr. Sakis. Vote. Discussion. Roll call.
Bogo?
Yes.
Jaworski?
Yes.
Kowski?
Yes.
And Sakis?
Yes.
Ordinance number 2018-12, an ordinance providing appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures of the City of Wickliffe, Ohio for the period beginning January 1st, 2018 and ending December 31st, 2018, first reading. Ordinance number 2018-13, an ordinance levying an assessment for unpaid bills and costs of cutting noxious or poisonous weeds, vines, tree limbs, or grasses growing upon parcels of land in the City of Wickliffe, Ohio, and declaring an emergency.
Suspension.
Second.
Suspension made by Ms. Kowski, seconded by Mr. Sakis. Is there any discussion?
Just,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, just one, Mr. Law Director, do we have enough members present to suspend?
We have 4 members we can suspend.
Okay, I wasn't sure if it was 4 or 5 with the suspension. Okay. Yep.
Give me just 1 second,
That's all right.
Council
That's all right.
President. Just to confirm this before we go forward.
I would hate to,
No, I know, and I didn't realize that there were going to be 3 missing this evening.
it's 5 out of 7. 3/4 would be 4 of us, or 3 of us, would be 75%.
Yeah, 2/3, I'm trying to think, 2/3 of 7.
Divide the 2/3 or multiply by 2/3?
There, 2/3 of 7.
Yeah, 4.66.
Scary.
4.6, so yeah, you know, Councilman Jaworski and Council President, we do need for the emergency measure, it is 2/3, so we do need 5.
Okay,
We do
All
need
right.
5 votes.
I will,
Do we need to withdraw?
yeah, I will
Let's
withdraw my
that.
suspension. Mr. Sacks, withdraw your
Yes, I would.
second. Okay,
Second.
Thank you for printing that up, Councilman.
we will put that on for the next
Table
meeting.
for the next meeting.
Okay. 14. Okay. You have to read the...
Okay, you all set?
Yes.
Okay, ordinance number 2018-14. It is an ordinance amending Chapter 739, Solicitors and Canvassers of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Wickliffe, Ohio, first reading.
Resolutions?
Resolution number 2018-04, a resolution declaring March 31st, 2018 congenital diaphragmatic hernia day in the City of Wickliffe, Ohio, and declaring an emergency. I believe we'll have to table this resolution as well, too.
Okay. Okay, other legislation? Seeing none, miscellaneous? None. Executive session to discuss potential sale of city-owned property and personnel. I presume we're not selling the personnel.
We'll see.
All right, and,
We need,
I'm sorry.
we need a motion on that executive session.
Do we,
Yeah,
do you need to call these special meetings specially, or was that already done? Because it was read in the finance committee.
They
With
were-
the
they
2
were-
special meetings for Wednesday and Thursday, but we haven't officially,
Well, those have been posted public, correct?
not yet. So, because it was only in a finance committee meeting that they were brought up.
Do you want me to,
I'm just wondering.
do you want me to read it? Here.
Well, these are the ones that, well, did we officially call for those meetings?
I believe
That's what I'm
Councilman
asking.
Council
Yes.
President Levon did.
Okay, then we're good.
Do you want me to read it too? Also?
Doesn't hurt.
No, we,
Not till we get there.
Well, we're adjourned.
No, I meant, these are
Executive.
for the meeting, for
oh,
those
okay,
meetings.
okay.
Because that'll be
Okay.
Wednesday and Thursday.
right, Wednesday and Thursday.
Okay,
No, we have a motion to go into executive session.
okay. We need a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion has been moved by Mr. Jaworski, seconded by Mr. Bogo, that we go into executive session. Sandy, call the roll.
Bogo?
Yes.
Jaworski?
Yes.
Kowski?
Yes.
And Sakis?
Yes.
We will have a 5-minute time period before we go into our executive session. Break. Yeah.
And I won't keep you guys